may I now call upon the next panel to take their seats. So, Dr. Punya, will you please take a seat there next to me, and we'll bring you to the podium in a moment. We have David Ringrose joining us online from Singapore. David is the Vice President, Asia Pacific Region for DHL. I think he's joining us online. And then we have Rob Stead joining us. Rob, if you would take a seat, please, next to Dr. Punya, who's Managing Director of Rhenus Air and Ocean Limited, Ireland, and also Director of the IIFA, which is the Ireland's International Freight Association, which, if I understand correctly, is responsible for 90% of all freight in and out of Ireland. So, pretty significant organisation. Just checking before we start. David, can you hear us? David, can you hear us?
Loud and clear. Good morning.
Thank you so much. I know you're busy and a slightly different time there in Singapore. Appreciate you making the time to join us. I didn't mention Limerick, David. David's from Limerick, as I understand. So in Ireland, no matter how global we are and no matter all the global companies we work with, pride of place, like every other country, remains an important thing, you know. So I'd now like to welcome to the podium to give a presentation on business opportunities in Thailand's $28 billion land bridge mega project, Dr. Punya Chupanit, who's Director General, Office of Transport and Traffic Policy and Planning, Ministry of Transport, Thailand. Dr. Punya, please. Could we welcome Dr. Punya, please?
Good morning, สวัสดีครับ His Excellency, distinguished delegates. I would like to thank Royal Thai Embassy and the Department of Business and Trade, and also the Asian Matter to organize this event. It's my honor to be here and share a vision on the topic MOT, Ministry of Transport Investment Priorities and the Land Bridge. I'm from an office named Office of Transport and Traffic Policy and Planning. We are a transport agency under the Ministry of Transport of Thailand. Due to many factors, for example, the COVID-19 war in many places, the spread of new disease, the world economic right now is changing in Thailand. We are facing problems on our economic as well. The growth of the Thailand economic rely on three major revenues: from tourism, from export, and from FDI. The revenue from FDI is a priority, as Martin already mentioned. Therefore, my office emphasizes on the infrastructure development on the tourism. A study from IATA showed that 200 million passengers will visit Thailand in year 2031. Therefore, the expansion of our two major international airports are set priority. The first airport expansion is the Suvarnabhumi International Airport. The development is under phase 3, in which the investment budget is about $3,750 million as His Excellency Jerry mentioned. In the next future, we will have more slots for the flight. So probably we can have the direct flight from Dublin to Bangkok. So we can, after I go back, I will talk with the Airport Authority of Thailand to start the discussion between the Dublin Authority. The second airport expansion is the Don Mueang International Airport. The development is also under the phase 3, in which investment budget is about $1,000 million. Due to higher demand of tourists coming to Thailand, especially to the eastern region, to the north and to the south, 3 new international airports will be constructed in those 3 areas. For eastern region, an existing airport named Utapao International Airport is under improvement. The airport in the past was used for the military purpose, but at present the airport is being upgraded to commercial. The project investment budget is about $6,000 million through a public-private partnership. For northern region, a new airport named Rhenus International Airport will be constructed. The investment budget is about $2,000 million as well. For the south, a new airport named Andaman International Airport will be developed. The investment budget is about 2,290 million US dollar. To support tourism and industry, Ministry of Transport has planned to enhance efficiency of the rail transport as well. We are working on upgrading our existing railway network from single track to double track. In addition, we plan to develop new high-speed train connecting between Bangkok and other regions. At present, 2 high-speed train projects are under construction. The first one is a high-speed train to the eastern part of Thailand, connecting 3 international airports. And the second project is a high-speed train to the northeast of Thailand, connecting with the high-speed train in Laos and South China. The total
ขอบ
distance
คุ
of
ณ
this
ครับ
high-speed
แล้ว
train
เดี๋ยวขากลับอีก
is
ที่พระราม9เดี๋ยวผม
6,000 kilometers. The project is divided into 2 phases. The first phase is under construction, and the second phase will be start soon. For maritime tourism, Ministry of Transport has a plan to construct many new cruise terminals. The Samui cruise terminal will be constructed first, and the estimated investment budget is 120 million US dollar by using the PPP scheme. As I already mentioned at the beginning, Thailand economic rely on revenue from export as well. The export and import in Thailand are mainly through 3 major deep sea ports. At present, the expansion of the Lam Chabang and Mataput port are under construction. The Lam Chabang port is under development phase 3. The investment cost is about 3,000 million US dollar. The Mataput port is under development phase 3. The total investment is about 1,800 US dollar under the public-private partnership scheme. This is very important right now. The Ministry of Transport is now initiating 2 new deep sea ports in the south. These 2 new ports are container ports, and they are part of a flagship project, what we call the Land Bridge project. I would like to use this seminar to give the information regarding the Land Bridge project. And I would like to invite all investors to be part of the project development. The Land Bridge is a great opportunity to put Thailand as a hub of commerce and a hub of transportation of ASEAN region. It's also a good opportunity for the global investors to invest in Thailand. The international bidding will be announced the early of year 2026. I would like to use a video presentation to give you more information on the Land Bridge, please. It's a short video presentation.
A golden opportunity to promote a new trade lane to become the main regional transshipment route. A trade portal for more than 20 million TEUs of imports and exports. With the Transportation Infrastructure Project for the development of the Southeast Asia and connect transportation between the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean, the Land Bridge. Owing to its strategic location at the heart of the Indochina Peninsula, Thailand has become a key strategic hub for production and transportation in Asia. As such, the government of Thailand assigned the Ministry of Transport to conduct a feasibility study and a preliminary design and develop business model for the land bridge development. At present, the Malacca Strait is the only route for shipping commodities between countries bordering the Pacific and Indian Oceans, leading to heavily congested shipment traffic with approximately 70.4 million TEUs of containers per year. The strait will reach in full capacity by 2030. The implementation of the land bridge will shorten transport duration and thus reduce the logistic costs. This mega project will promote Thailand as the trade gateway to the ASEAN region, the Far East, the Indian subcontinent, the BIMSTEC, and the Middle East, while harmonizing connectivity with the APEC countries and the rest of the world. The land bridge includes Ranong Port on the Andaman coast and Chumpon Port on the Gulf of Thailand as modern deep sea ports with automation system to facilitate transshipments and enhance their competitiveness as smart ports. The ports will be operated under Green Ports strategy. In addition, motorways, railways, and optionally oil pipelines will be developed to provide hinterlands link between both ports. The one port, two sides concept will be embraced by project construction and management as a single contract with public-private partnership scheme, where the government will acquire land and offer concession, while the private sector will be responsible for financing port construction and management. The concession period of 50 years. To suit the investment, the SEC Act will be enacted to eliminate restrictions imposed by existing regulations. As the key success factor of the land bridge is the operation, the investors should have experiences in management of globally top-tier ports and liaison with liners and be financially capable of completing this mega project. The hinterland areas will be developed into a trading hub comprising commercial zones, port cities, and industrial zones for both agricultural and integrated industries. Related business zones will be established for banking, insurance, and other related businesses. There will also be specific zones for the promotion of digital industries, valued-added industries, and tariff-free investment to become a global business district. This project's investment will be undertaken over 4 phases, the first of which will cost 522 billion baht, equivalent to 14.7 billion US dollar, and with 5-year completion. The development of the remaining phases will take into account the demand for container transportation. GDP of Thailand will expand by no less than 5.5% and equity internal rate of return, equity IRR of more than 10%. The land bridge will offer a golden ticket for investors to develop a new global trade lane as well as maritime logistics and economic hub that will generate impressive economic return and expand competitive edge in the global arena.
For a bit more information on the investment project, you can download from the QR code website, or you can contact me directly. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Punya. Kapkan Kap. So interesting what you said. Clearly a very, very ambitious project in terms of scale and, as you said, expand GDP by 5.5%. Wonderful if this can be achieved, an IRR of 10%. And I was interested in what you said about regulations. We didn't discuss this last night at dinner, but if I may take a moment as chair, I was Ireland's first chief executive in what's called the Regulatory Compliance Association, which was, I have to think back, 18 years ago. Compliance was becoming a big thing globally, and we particularly focused on financial services. But what was noticed at the time that FDI investors all over the world, what they were looking for was what they call smart regulation. You don't hear the term very often because too many people had casual regulations, which sounded easy for investment, but people need to trust the integrity of the regulatory process, and that has to involve, which leads me perfectly to David. Can you hear us? David?
Yes, indeed, Martin.
Yeah, great.
I can.
Can everyone see David on the screen? Yeah, it's good, guys. Okay, so David is joining us from Singapore. And David, when we were preparing for this, and you had a copy of Dr. Punya's presentation in advance, we had some discussions about the sheer ambition, the scale of the project, and you work a lot with global companies investing in the Asia region, commercial logistics. Could you give us feedback to what Dr. Punya said, please?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you once again for the invitation to join the discussion today. And, good morning again from Singapore. David Ringrose here. I look after the DHL supply chain Asia Pacific business here in the region. And of course, Thailand is a key part of that. And then more specifically to what was presented, I think number one, and I would say this was my initial reaction when Martin was discussing this with me, it shows the ambition of Thailand and the level of investment. And that is indeed getting attention. What my team and I continuously do here is assess Asia Pacific and indeed Southeast Asia more recently, given the geopolitical shifts as to where are the hotspots for foreign direct investment, working with many of the global multinationals we know well. So one, this definitely is getting attention, and as we look at the connectivity of various countries, etc., and the infrastructure, this is getting the right response in the long term. But in the more immediate term, the roadmap leading up to that, as was shared, the level of investment in airport, in rail, and what indeed we see as well in road connectivity, because connecting from Thailand into South China is generally quite an efficient land bridge to also use. So when you bring everything together, it's really positioning Thailand as a global logistics hub, and we'll see more and more of that come to fruition. From a DHL perspective, Southeast Asia is one of our hotspots for investment. We've earmarked 350 million for capital expenditure, and Thailand features heavily in that. Indeed, just this week, we're breaking ground on a new 45 square meter facility near the airport in Bangkok. So again, in the long term, this will all feed into that grander plan of how Thailand is positioned. And once the port infrastructure starts to come to fruition, as was demonstrated in the presentation, then you get the full ecosystem coming, complemented by some of the shifts we see already in the China Plus One strategies. I think traditionally Thailand would have always have been very strong in automotive and industrial, in particular around the manufacturing base. And now we're seeing that the technology / electronics industry is starting to more and more be present. And just looking at some numbers we were reviewing as we prepare our investment plans, we could see that there was quite an increase when you look at 2022 into 2023 in the number of projects, of FDI projects. It went up somewhere in the region of 38%. But even more importantly, what we saw was there was a 72% increase in the value. So we're seeing, more and more larger scale manufacturing type projects come in, which of course have a direct link to logistics infrastructure. So what I'd say is, the ambition is really resonating. The land bridge is part of a much grander plan, and then putting this together really makes Thailand a key contender when it comes to the positioning of supply chains and logistics infrastructure as those FDI decisions are made.
We have you there and enjoying good connectivity, very important. Could I ask you basically, what's your view on two things, and then we'll move over to Rob. What's your view on, the ambition of this project clearly is to cut down transport time from 6 to 9 days through the Malacca Straits. We hear a lot about the Malacca Straits in terms of, global supply chains, the danger if that stops or gets choked. What's the significance of that? And then if you could make a final comment on how important is regulation and enhanced regulation as this evolves.
Yes, indeed. So, in Southeast Asia, I think everyone will see it is quite competitive. So there are in parallel investments going in the other countries, Singapore being a very good example. So the port here is handling 40 million TEUs at the moment. The plan is that capability will increase up to 65. But given the growth in intra-Asia trade and indeed global trade, there is, I would say, a place for everyone in this. So what's key here is that the investment continues, and then from there we will see that these various hubs will emerge, and we'll see that come to fruition. From a regulation perspective, it's important that it's accompanied by the right free trade zone environment, and indeed, from what I see, those regulations are changing, so that again, the advantages that we've seen in the free ports of Hong Kong and through the economic zones that exist in Singapore and indeed Malaysia, etc., of which there are also examples in Thailand that they continue to advance and facilitate that FDI.
And could I ask you, for us non-transport professionals, we can all look at the maps, but what would happen if the Malacca Straits closed down? What would happen to global supply chains and Asian supply chains?
Yeah, so again, given the criticality of the strait, I think that having multiple, solutions for that provides resilience in supply chains and provides contingency. So again, there's a place, I think, for everyone in this, and indeed, given the importance of that and the technology, as I mentioned, further down south, it's also evolving in how to handle traffic using the latest technology to minimize those risks. So yeah, so that's something I would say, that there's a lot of resilience built in, but indeed having multiple options and the ports in Thailand can only help with the overall resilience of global supply chains.
Thank you so much, David. That's great. Rob, over to you. Can you give some feedback to what Dr. Punya said, and maybe link in as well to David? And you're recently back from the region, the broader Asia region, and you mentioned you were in touch with your colleagues in the Bangkok office as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Rob Stead. I'm the Managing Director of Rhenus Air and Ocean and the Director of the Irish Importers Association. Asia certainly matters to Irish importers. About 80% of imports originate from Asia, whether they come directly into Ireland or whether they go via Europe. They end up in Ireland anyway, and so it's a critical area for our customers, whether they be for Rhenus as well as the customers of the Irish Importers Association. So it matters dramatically. Our customers tell us that there are three things that matter to them. The most important is cost, and second and third are very close behind, and that would be reliable transit times, and the third being sustainability. And the proposed land bridge, I think, offers potential solutions to all three of those. The cost of operating a vessel is a region of $25,000 to $50,000 a day. So if we think that there's about 100,000 vessels transiting via the Malacca Strait at the moment, the potential savings to reduce even a portion of that is significant if we can reduce the number of days en route. The second challenge, as I mentioned, is reliable transit times, and wherever you have a choke point or a hotspot of congestion, it poses a risk to transport. And it's not just reduced transit times, it's the ability to predict them accurately, because if we know that the transit time will be 45 days, you can plan on that. If it might move out to 50 or 60 days, then it's hard to predict around that. And so we find that the Malacca Strait, because of the amount of congestion through that particular area, poses a significant risk to our own supply chains and our own transport infrastructure. And the third being sustainability. And obviously, we live in a world where increasingly we're aware of the impact of carbon emissions on the globe. And again, the statistics are around about 250 to 500 tons of carbon per day per vessel that they're operating. Obviously, it depends on the age of the vessel and the size and so forth. But again, if we can cut that lead time down, it potentially reduces the amount of carbon that's being emitted into the environment as well. So we're excited by the prospects of the land bridge, in that they offer the potential to solve all three of those issues in some way or shape. And so we think it's great. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I'm very conscious of time because we have a very tight schedule and we're 5 minutes over time. Don't worry, I'll pull it back. Dr. Punya, have you any final response to the response from David and from Rob?
Okay, thank you very much for your response.
A brief response, please.
Yes.
Dr. Punya.
Okay, I just want to say that the reason that the government start this project because Thailand, we don't want to compete with Singapore. We don't want to compete with Malaysia. We just want to have the alternative route for the maritime logistics. And the other reason, we need to have the gateway for our import and export, not only for Thailand, for all country surrounding Thailand, South China, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, Cambodia. That would be the reason that we start this project. So we hope that if someone want to join the project, you are very welcome to contact us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we thank our panel, everyone? Thank you, David. Appreciate it.